Good evening. Um, this evening, what I want to share with you is a song that the Lord gave me to write in September of 2011. Now, this is when He had first started giving me songs to write, um, which lasted through January of 2020 until my singing voice gave out. Anyway, I was reading it in 1 Corinthians 10, and I'm going to just share with you what I wrote about it at that time. I was reading in 1 Corinthians 10 for my quiet time with the Lord. The children of Israel had experienced all of God's blessings and provisions, as well as His guidance, leadership, and protection in bringing them out of slavery. And yet God was not pleased with them, because they did not obey Him. They wanted the blessings of God absent of obedience. So their lives are examples for us to keep us from setting our hearts on evil and from becoming followers of idols in place of being followers of God. And this is where many people are today, doing the same thing, professing faith in Jesus Christ, and wanting all of God's blessings, wanting to claim all of his promises in the scriptures, but they don't want to commit their hearts to Jesus Christ. They don't want to obey Him. They don't want to follow Him. They want God to do everything for them and for them to not have to do anything. And that's just not what the scriptures teach. Plus, it's a one-sided relationship, and it's very selfish. If we just say to God, here, you give it all to me, but don't require anything of me. That's kind of like a marriage relationship. If you go into a marriage and you tell your spouse, look, you give to me everything that you're supposed to give, but don't expect anything from me. That's not a very good start to a marriage, is it? No, and there are a lot of married people who live just like that too, and that's very sad. So anyway, I'm going to go on and read some more. So many times in our lives, we allow so many other things to crowd out our times with God and our relationship with Him. When we need to be still before our Lord so that we can hear Him speak, we are busy doing other stuff, or we are fretting over this or that, often involving other things which have become our idols. So He calls us to be still, so that we can hear His voice speaking to our hearts, so that He can point out these things to us. Then we need to recognize what things are taking place in our hearts, so that we can forsake those and then draw closer to Him and fellowship with Him and in obedience to His word. And this is so true to our lives, that this is what we need to do. That our relationships with Jesus Christ are not all one way, one-sided. They are it's like a marriage. When we believe in Jesus, we marry Jesus. We come into a covenant relationship with Him, and it's not a one-sided covenant any more than a marriage is a one-sided covenant. It is a marriage relationship. He becomes our husband, and we become his wife, His bride. And I know sometimes for men that's a little hard to wrap their brains around, and that's an expression in case you don't know that. But that's what our salvation is. That's what our belief in Jesus is a marriage covenant, And so when we marry Jesus, when we believe in Him, He becomes our Lord. He's our master, and we're supposed to follow Him and obey Him, and we should want to. It shouldn't be, what people are saying today. Oh, I don't have to obey God. I don't have to do what He says, because He does it all. Like, what kind of a relationship is that? There's nothing. So if we're wanting the blessings of God, then we need to obey God. We need to do what He says. And we should not have that kind of an attitude that says, that we don't. So anyway, the Lord gave me this song to write in 2011, and I'm just going to read you the words. It's a poem, and then I'm going to attempt to sing it along with the recording that I made of it back then. But I want you to listen carefully to the words. When in the stillness of this moment, speak to me, Lord, I humbly pray. Be my desire, set me on fire. Teach me to love always. Help me to walk in fellowship with you, listening to you, sit at your feet. Whisper your words to me, oh, how gently, guiding me in your truth. While we are waiting for your blessing, Lord, in our hearts be king today. Help us to live for you every moment, listening to what you say. May we not stray from your word within us. Help us obey you, Lord, in all things. Walking each moment, Lord, in your presence, our offerings to you bring. Help us to love you, Lord, our Master. Be an example of your love, helping the hurting, lift up the fallen, showing them your great love. Teach them to love you, follow you always, bearing their cross and turning from sin, walking in daily fellowship with you, making you Lord and King. And this is what the Christian life is to be all about, okay? Now I'm going to play and try to sing the song for you, and I hope it ministers to your heart today. It's a little slow in starting. When in the stillness of this moment, speak to me, Lord, I humbly pray. Be my desire, set me on fire, teach me to love always. Help me to walk in fellowship with you, listening to you, sit at your feet, whisper your words to me, oh how gently, guiding me in your truth. While we are waiting for your blessing, Lord, in our hearts speaking today, help us to live for you every moment, listening to what you say. May we not stray from your word within us, help us obey you, Lord, in all things. Marking each moment, Lord, in your presence, our offerings to you bring. Help us to love you, Lord, our Master. Be an example of your love, helping the hurting, lift up the fallen, showing them your great love. Teach them to love you, follow you always, bearing their cross and turning from sin, walking in daily fellowship with you, making you Lord and King.